And how did you end up in El Chapo's house, one of the biggest drug dealers ever?
Oh man, that was wild. Just outside my house, this geezer steps out, dressed all in black baseball cap. He's got a pistol. He starts pointing the pistol at my side of the car. And I didn't speak any Portuguese, but he starts saying something in Portuguese. So we roll down the window. I'm just there with my hands up. Two guys on a motorbike, black masks, drive up, shot him twice in the head. And that's the first time I saw someone's brains where they're not supposed to be.
Boom, we're on. Today's guest, we've got the Russian Niko, I'm going, how do I pronounce it? Vorobyov. My first Russian,
well done,
brother.
Bro. Well done.
My first Russian.
Man, if you knew how many times people fucked up my name in school, man. But you nailed it the first time.
I'm good at that, mate. I'm good at that. Brother, you sent me your book, Dopeworld. Great read. Came out last summer. You've travelled all over. You've been in El Chapo's house.
Yeah.
You've mixed it with some of the big boys, but you don't call yourself a gangster. You kind of say you're a geek.
Yeah. So the whole reason why I mean, you can hear my voice now. I don't sound like a British guy. Actually, I don't sound like anything. So I was born in Russia, but I learned English in America from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Then I moved here. So like my accent is all fucked up. Actually, even if I speak Russian, I don't have a Russian accent in Russian. I have an English accent. So people call me like Israeli or some shit. But anyway, so like I never really fit in anywhere. I was always like the odd one out. And like growing up in school, like that was quite hard. I was always the foreign kid, the Russian kid. So kind of to fit in more, like I thought, I should be a drug dealer. I'll get invited to all the parties. I'll get all the girls. Plus, it seems like a pretty easy job, so that's how I got on it.
That's how it started.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you were born in Russia.
Yeah.
From Russia with love, and then you've been to England, America. You've been all over. You've been all over the world trying all sorts of drugs. You've been in prison for drugs.
Yeah.
You have beaten people up. You've also been beaten up.
Been stabbed.
Yeah, you've got a crazy story, brother, and this is why you're here. But let's go right back to the start, Niko. When you were born in Russia, what age did you come to England?
I think it must have been about 95, 96. But I was living mainly in Bath, which is in like southwest England. And back then, like it's changed a bit now, but back then there was basically no foreigners. There was like me, this one Iranian kid, a couple of Pakistani kids, and that was it. Everyone else was just straight white British. And like if it was really hard for me to fit in with my accent and everything. And that's why like I tried exploring different paths. I got involved in the kind of the Bristol rave scene. So Bristol's got like quite a big drum and bass scene. It's also the UK's ketamine capital by complete coincidence, I'm sure. So yeah, I'd get an ounce of MDMA, and then every weekend I'd head out to either to a club or to like one of those underground parties. So like one of those ones where like you look it up on Facebook and it's like the gathering of the celestial souls or some shit, and it's gonna be like secret location, and you have to call them to get the location on the night. So I'd be going to those every weekend, and then yeah, I'd clear about like MDMA, ecstasy. It's got the biggest profit margin. So weed, when I was selling it, it's changed a bit now. It's got more expensive, but weed when I was selling it, like. Say you spend 75 quid, you get 25 back from that. So you make like 100 quid altogether, 25 profit. But with MDMA and ecstasy, you could quadruple your investment just like over the weekend. Just sell the whole ounce. Boom, that's like what, £400 in your pocket for however much you spent, if you spent £100.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was fun. Plus I got to go to loads of parties. I started to feel a bit more popular, and yeah, life was good.
How old were you?
I was a late bloomer. My mum being about 17, 18 or so.
What was your parents like?
My parents didn't know anything, so I'm completely middle class. I didn't have like that upbringing where people say, oh, yeah, I had a hard life. Maybe I had a hard life in other ways, but I mean, I'm disgustingly white and middle class. And both my parents are academics. So my mum teaches economics and my dad teaches maths. And ironically, I'm shit at both. Just shit with money.
So what the fuck happened to you then, Niko?
I was the black sheep, man. You don't want to be like your parents. Being like your parents is never cool.
So when you started selling drugs and stuff, when you started selling MDMA, were you selling ecstasy at the time as well?
Yeah. MDMA is the same thing, basically.
Yeah.
MDMA is just the powder version. Yeah.
Hits you harder.
Yeah.
So you nearly lost your life as well. Did someone rob you?
Yeah. So one of those underground parties, I was doing pretty well. I was selling my stuff. Then 3 kiddies in hoodies came up, and they're like, "Yes, how much for the whole thing?" And I was like, I got suspicious, but I'm not gonna lie, it's also about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, so I was also pretty drunk, pretty high, getting tired. I wasn't really thinking about it too much. And they managed to kind of lodge me into the corner of the party, like kind of far away from everyone. And like when I realized what they were gonna do, I pushed one of them out the way, and then like the other one said, "Oi, why are you making moves with my mate like that?" And like the next thing I don't know what exactly hit me, but something hit me on the side of the head. And like, there's like a cartoon, where you see like sparks flying around your head.
Birds.
Yeah. Little Russian dolls. One inside the other. And yeah, next thing I knew, I was on the floor getting the shit kicked out of me. I got stabbed. Well, overall, I got stabbed 6 times. So all on the left side of my body. So on my arm, just like a small one here. I think it hit the ribs. So it didn't do anything. But the big ones were on my leg. I don't think they're trying to kill me. They're just trying to make sure I don't get back up again. And yeah, they took all my food, they took all my cash, managed to hold on to my phone though. I pretended like I lost it and managed to hold on to my chain, so I didn't give that up. And yeah, they just walked off. But the funny thing is, when all that shit is happening to you, yeah, your adrenaline's going like boom, boom, boom. So I actually didn't realize what had happened to me until hours later. So I just went back to the party. Like obviously, like I was kind of pissed off. Like yeah, I just got robbed and all that. But it didn't dawn on me how bad it actually was when we were already walking back to the train station to get back to my house, and then like I could hear this coming from my shoe, and I looked down, and just like this whole side of my body is just red. So the blood had dripped all the way down my body. It was going into my shoe, filled up my shoe, and now it was spilling out. That's when I thought, right, I should probably get that checked out. Mm-hmm. And the other funny thing was, and at the knife actually, it cut my nerve endings, so I could literally feel no pain. And then when I got to the hospital, the nurse was actually surprised I hadn't passed out from blood loss, and I just went back to raving for a couple hours.
Mm-hmm. So what was your life like after that then? Were you thinking, I need to give this shit up, it's too dangerous? Or did it spur you on to go and sell more drugs, become violent yourself?
Nah, I mean, like, I was still young then. I was still about 18. So, like, when you're young, I don't think you've got the sort of, like, the risk-reward balance just right. When you're younger, you think you're invincible. Like, it's like, like if you're a soldier going to war, you never think you're going to be the one who gets killed in the ambush. Mm-hmm. Think like someone's going to get killed or wounded, it's going to be the other guy. You never think it's going to be you. When you get a bit older and you kind of see more of the world and you look back on it and you think, yeah, it was fucking dumb. And really, I should have stopped there, but I didn't. I kept on going. I moved to London. I actually had a few mishaps, but I eventually expanded my operation. I had like a couple of 3 or 4 guys just like selling weed for me as well as doing my own stuff. And then, yeah, eventually I got caught.
In London? Was it
in
the tube station?
That was just the dumbest shit ever.
Yeah.
That was like, because, if you're a criminal, if you're the police, you need to get lucky the one time. Yeah. If you're a criminal, you need to get lucky every time.
Because they've got dogs and shit down at the London stations, eh?
Yeah. And that's the stupid thing. So, like, I always tell my friends, don't take anything on the tube. There are dogs on the tube because sometimes they like to stand around near the exit, and then it's just like an easy way to arrest people, you know? By that time, I was in a rush. I thought, fuck it. I put like 6 half-gram wraps of MDMA in my pocket. So I had 3 grams, which would have been personal amount, but they were in half-gram wraps, so it looked like 6 grams, and there's no way I could blag that. And then I got to the top of the escalators, and the dogs were there, and I can't really... It was one of those tube stations where you can't really turn around. You can't like run back the escalators, because some other ones you can pretend you're going to a different platform. But there, like, I could only hope that, like, because the dog's attention span's about 20 minutes. I was kind of hoping that the dogs were just there for show and they just there to ignore me. But either they picked up on the weed I would handle earlier that day, or maybe there was something mixed with the MDMA, or like I was just looking suspicious as hell. And
as a possible.
Yeah.
Because some dogs as well can't smell MDMA or ecstasy. There's certain dogs for certain scents, but I think most dogs can have weed.
Yeah.
Maybe you've been stinking of weed. They've says pull him, and then they found the MDMA. So you got, what did you get for?
Or maybe they got the dogs to like just let it sit down as they normally would. They just train them whenever they want to check someone.
Yeah, make an excuse, give it a wee nudge.
Yeah.
So what did you get 3 years for in London prison?
I got 3 years for possession with intent to supply class A and B. And I got something weird like criminal use of property, which was all my money. But I was really happy that they didn't go through my phone, because I could have had like fraud and money laundering and some other stuff as well.
Is that like proceeds of crime?
Yeah.
What was prison like for you?
Prison, honestly, I wasn't there for that long. I wasn't there like Johnny Boy doing a 20 stretch. Yeah. But like for a first timer, it's always going to be hard. Like especially like when you have no idea, like if you haven't been to Bristol, like youth detention or anything like that, you have no idea what's coming. It's a massive shock to the system. So what happened was like on the first night, I sat down. I didn't have the exact figure now, but I worked out like just because like I was still trying to process it all. I worked out to the second how many hours, days, minutes, and seconds my sentence was gonna be, and like I started counting down. I got to about like 3,000 before I realized like, no, this is just making me more insane.
Yeah, that'd make you ill. What was your clients like? Was it snobs? Was it posh boys? Your clientele?
I was mostly, so by the time I got to London, I was in uni, so it was mostly like middle class, like hipsters, students. I got some of their mates as well, so like yuppies, like young bankers, young IT guys. And so like that's one of the things why I didn't like really see what I was doing as wrong, because like if you watch movies like New Jack City or whatever, you have like this sort of like stereotypical crackhead is like coming up to them in rags, like trying to pawn off their mother's jewelry, and they just fucking kick him away, get the fuck out of here, just take his change, overcharge him. But it wasn't like that at all. Like it just seemed normal to me. I felt kind of like a bartender, So I guess like the way I saw it was like, I still didn't see like drug dealing as inherently bad. But obviously a lot of stuff around drug dealing is bad. Fucking like kidnapping, robbery, murder, all that shit. So like Al Capone, he wasn't a bad guy because he sold beer, because beer was illegal in America in the 20s. He was a bad guy because he fucking lined geezers up against the wall, got a Tommy gun, sprayed them. Yeah. And because I wasn't one of those guys. I was never one of those guys. I threatened people a couple of times, but I never really did anything about it. I was never one of those guys, so I just didn't.
Do you have to play the part sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you can't look like a pusher, not to the customers and to the other dealers, but like, I think I've only ever actually put hands on someone once in my life, and that was in school. See,
that's not too bad considering a life of selling drugs, selling gear, anything. There's always going to be someone who tests you, and the ego always gets the better of you, where you feel as if you need to make a point, make a statement that nobody can treat me like that. So, yeah, but why did you choose that path? Why did you go that path? If you're middle class, good family, academic, you've got good opportunities. Why did you choose it? Was there certain things that triggered that? Was it because you got bullied? Or was it because you wanted some respect and you knew drug dealers get respect, but for me, they don't. Once you get older, they don't get any motherfucking respect because they're destroying lives. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? They're destroying other people's lives to benefit their own agenda. Yeah. So when it's younger and you watch films like Scarface and all that, you're glorifying it. You go, wow, that looks amazing, the fast cars, the girls. But in time, all that shit fades away. It either gets took off you or you're dead. Yeah, it's crazy. Was there anything that triggered your mind to go, that's the life I want because of the attention?
Yeah, I just wanted a shortcut, really, just a shortcut to be popular and just to not be seen as a pushover and stuff. That's what I was looking for. But obviously, I knew I didn't have the heart to like go out and rob anyone. So that's what I had to sell for. Before that, my main hustle was I used to sell pirate DVDs. But that's before everyone discovered the internet, you know. This was like mid-2000s. Put
you out of business?
Yeah,
before you even started? How did it get you any respect?
Yeah, in the end, you know, I had a lot of friends in interesting places. Probably shouldn't say too much about them around here. But yeah, in uni, I was just getting invited to. There wasn't a party that I was invited to by the end of uni.
Do you think you were getting used then as though for people to take your gear as well?
Sorry?
Do you think you were getting used as well though? Because you had the gear that if he comes to the party, we get free stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so, yeah. But, you know, I didn't mind because, you know, like in my mind, that was like, I'm bringing something to the table. No, nothing comes for free, you know?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So for a man to be involved in drugs, in prison, nearly dead... Why did you start travelling the world and trying other drugs and getting stories? Because I know you've been to, where's that place you've been? Is it the shooting with Manila?
Manila, the Philippines.
Yeah, someone get shot, dead.
That was wild. I'll get to that in a bit, but first to answer your first question. So when I was in prison, like one good thing about prison is you got a lot of time. You got a lot of time on your hands. Yeah. So I read a lot of books. I really liked Howard Marks' Mr. Nice. Mm-hmm. And I really liked this other book called El Narco, which is about like the drugs war in Mexico. And that got me kind of thinking about like the whole situation. Because you said like drugs ruin lives. And yeah, that's true. But like things like alcoholism ruins lives as well.
Oh, yeah. It's a drug.
Yeah,
in my eyes, it's a drug.
Or gambling, not even a drug, but it's like another kind of addiction.
Yeah, addiction, overeating, sex, anger. You become addicted to it. There's so many different addictions.
Yeah. But I was wondering why like one is legal and one isn't. Or like, for example, why in America and like some countries today, alcohol is illegal. It's considered a drug. So I wanted to find out more, and I got a real job. I hated it, but I got a real job.
What were you doing?
I was working at RT, you know, the Russian news media outlet. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't really doing much. I was just in the newsroom typing up stories. But it let me save up money and gave me a few connections to the journalism world.
Legit world.
Yeah, the legit journalism. Well,
yeah, some. Yeah. They're dodgy bastards as well.
Yeah. And so I started saving up, booked a bunch of flights, and I figured like I didn't always have the idea to write a book, but like when I was in prison, and I started writing letters to people outside, so people outside thought like, this is like quite a like a funny or like an interesting insight into prison life that they wouldn't normally get because again they're all like middle class uni kids, so they wouldn't have any experience. Most of them didn't have any experience this at all, and that's what first got me into writing. I didn't set off to write a book, but it kind of naturally formed along the way. I went to all sorts of countries. So I figure like. A lot of the books about drugs these days, they're like essentially in like the English speaking world. So they're talking about like America, the history of drugs in America, or here in Britain, UK. But like I thought, what about places like Iran and Russia and the Philippines? Like that hasn't really been covered much. especially like the Philippines now, they got this fucking psychopath of a president called Rodrigo Duterte. And he's declared like a total war on drugs. So anyone who's a drug dealer, a drug user, or is even being called a drug dealer or drug user, so like say your neighbor doesn't like you and calls the police, they are all getting killed. So I think in the last 3 or 4 years, I don't know what the total is right now because the numbers keep changing. But the last I read, it was like something like 30,000 people have been gunned down by death squads.
Because they say they're drug dealers or even people who's addicted to drugs?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Or even people being like, they haven't even been proved to be these
Word
things.
of mouth.
Yeah. It's just like some
And
list.
who is this guy?
He's a fucking nutcase in the Philippines. He keeps making like rape jokes. He's basically like Trump on crack.
Yeah.
Not literally on crack because he hates drugs.
You kill yourself. So he's killed 30,000 people because that, for me, that's backwards. A war on drugs, then there's no accepting you should be killing people because of certain addictions. I don't think addicts should go to prison either. I believe they've got a disease that they need to work on their mindset.
That's one really fucked up thing that's happening there is like once they heard about the killings, a lot of people like drug dealers, drug users, they started surrendering themselves. But then what happens when they give themselves into the authorities to go into rehab or whatever, their name gets put on the list. Then like maybe a couple of weeks later, they get a knock, a couple of masked men at the doorstep, bang.
How do they know it's coming from him?
Well, that's quite hard to prove, but like the MO for all these killings, it's the same. So like there's two kinds of killings. They have the police killings and they have the vigilante killings. So the police killings, it seems like whenever the police kill someone, they always seem to find like a gun and like a small pack of crystal meth or whatever
Lying next to them.
Yeah. And like, I'm sure that like a couple of times it's actually happened. Like it's like a life or death situation. The police have to shoot them, obviously. But it just seems a little too convenient that they just keep finding these things.
The same bag, same amount, lying next to the person.
Yeah.
So what, is it a license to kill anyone who are taking drugs? Basically?
Pretty much. And then
tell me this, has the drugs went down? Has the addictions went down? Has drug dealings went down?
Well, there's a report that came out, I think either the start of this year or the end of last year. And they actually found that the price of crystal meth, which is like the main drug in the Philippines, it's actually gone down. So it's cheaper, meaning there's more of it. So one of the guys I talked to, one of the vigilante gunmen, who I met, I really, really hoped that nobody would tell him about my original job. But one of the guys I met, this guy in a balaclava, so he was telling me, and this is confirmed, like the BBC, I think they've also done interviews with the hitmen. They're telling them pretty much the same thing, that they get paid by the police or the army, but to eliminate drug suspects, clean up the streets. But one thing they do say is that like if the criminals paid their dues, if they paid their taxes, then like they leave them alone. So my theory is that like one of the things there's a lot of things happening. I think there's like some gang wars going on at the same time, so it's kind of complicated. But one of the things that's happening is that like groups within the army and the police, they're just taking out the competition. They're just nationalizing the drug industry and they're taking out the private sector. So it's only guys who are working with them.
Yeah, so the government's running the drug trade, basically.
Pretty much. Because there's still meth. We even found some meth. We bought some meth.
So why did you end up there? Why did you go there?
Because I was interested. This is like the...
Is that the start of the journey for the book?
It wasn't the start, but I feel that's like one thing that they're not talking about. It's almost like people aren't talking about that much in the media now. I think it's kind of like, it's almost like a genocide. It's like, obviously it's different to other genocides with the Jews or the Armenians or whatever. But like you still have like a group of people, like drug addicts or drug dealers, but mostly drug addicts. And they say like, all right, this is the enemy. These people all deserve to be killed. and then they're doing it, and like 30,000 people. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah, that's a small war.
There's actual wars between countries where less people have died.
Yeah. So many places did you travel to, Niko?
I went to 15 countries on 5 different continents.
And how did you end up in El Chapo's house, one of the biggest drug dealers ever?
Oh man, that was wild. So there's this village in Mexico called La Tuna, and I got in touch with this Mexican journalist. And there's a program you might have seen on Channel 4 called like Meet the Real Narcos, something like that. There's like this ex-SAS guy, and he goes to like Colombia, Peru, and Mexico. So it's the same guy who was showing him around Mexico was my guy. So he took me up to La Tuna. One thing, it's like way in the mountains. It's like way deep in the mountains. It's a 4-hour drive. So we had to get a 4x4 because the roads are really windy. But we couldn't find a place, like a car rental place, which had a 4x4 for that weekend. But we did meet like a smack dealer earlier, a heroin dealer, who was selling his pickup truck. So we just went to him, we borrowed his pickup truck. So driving around the mountains in this heroin dealer's pickup truck. And we got to La Tuna, and it just looks like a small, like typical like Mexican village that you'd see in the movies, like a Western or something. And my guy Miguel, the journalist, he sees someone he knows, and he says, "Hey man, can you take us to Don Angel?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, sure." So he takes us to like this big ass mansion, and there's these two lads standing outside, dressed in full camo. Like, bandoliers, like there's ammo belts across their chest holding machine guns. They just let us through. And then there's this geezer sitting there, silky white shirt, like massive gold cross hanging off his neck. He's having dinner. There's a couple of lads around him, I know, maybe like his sons or his nephews or something, just looking at us like, who the hell are you guys? And we're like, yeah, we're here to see a Don Angel. And he was like, yeah, I'm Don Angel. What you guys want? And it turns out that wasn't the Don Angel we wanted. We wanted the Don Angel. There's 2 guys called Don Angel in that village. One of them's El Chapo's cousin. The other one's his brother. So we accidentally wandered into his brother's house, and his brother has no idea who we are. Mm-hmm. So we just kind of explained the misunderstanding, just like slowly scampered out of there, like namaste, namaste. And we met like the actual... the other Don Angel. And he was just like a typical Mexican cowboy, like huge sombrero, like snakeskin boots. We went around with him for a bit, chilled with him for a bit, and then when night fell, we went back to Don Angel, the cousin's house. And there was like, it's probably like one of the weirdest nights of my life. 'Cause one of the businesses Don Angel he has a little sushi stand. And maybe it's just for my benefit because I was there because they wanted to fuck with me or whatever. But there was like, it seemed like the whole like security of the village was there. It's like about 20 guys with like fucking Glocks tucked into their jeans, or like AR-15s over their shoulders, just standing around eating sushi while this like Mexican mariachi music is playing in the background. It's the fucking weirdest thing I've seen in my life. One of the weirdest things I've seen in my life. And then another one of El Chapo's cousins, because they're all related in that village, he asked me like, what do I think about Albanians? Which I thought was a weird question, like a really random question. But it turns out he's a big fan of, that film with Liam Neeson, Taken.
Yeah.
Where they kidnap his daughter.
The French boys. Yeah. The Albanians. Yeah.
So, yeah, he's just like a massive movie fan. He fucking loves Indiana Jones, loves a bit of Arnie. So we just sat there talking about like, Indiana Jones films with like this Mexican drug lord while we're eating sushi at night in the mountains in the middle of the night, surrounded by all his bodyguards who are all also eating sushi. And yeah, I ended up staying over there, and then the next morning had a little barbecue.
How many cousins has El Chapo got? Is that people just saying that they're cousins, or are they really cousins?
No, I think because like they're a small village. They're way out in the middle of nowhere. It's like, you know, like American hillbillies. Like they're all related in that village.
Were you networking there, or were you trying to get stories? Were you trying to get gear?
No, I was just writing my book by that point. I just went to meet the man himself.
Lying bastard, Niko. Cargo full of shit coming back that night, were you? You're not that daft, Niko, are you? So where else did you go? Where else in your travels were you?
I went to all sorts of places. Brazil, South Africa. Brazil was wild.
Any life or death moments?
There was one. I don't know if it was really life or death. All right, so there's two kinds of gangs I lived in Rio de Janeiro for about a month or a month and a half.
Yeah, the murder rate's high there though.
It's wild, yeah. So there's two kinds of gangs in Rio. There's like the drug cartels who control the favelas. And like every weekend in the favelas, they hold these parties, these like street parties. They're free. Anyone can go there. And it's like nothing you've seen in your life. Like they got like this loud, like they call it funk music playing, which is kind of like hip hop, but they use like actual drums and actual instruments. And these like 14, 15-year-old boys are like walking around with machine guns, firing the guns in the air to the beat. I accidentally took my girlfriend to that, and we had to go because she was getting way too scared. But that was quite safe because like the gang doesn't want any trouble on their patch. Like, so those parties, like a lot of like middle class Brazilian kids go there, get some coke. Yeah, there's just like they just have like these market stalls, like these market stalls full of coke. So they have like one for like $2, one for $5, one for $10, and just way out in the street. And the police can't go there because like it's like, you know, like politicians or like newspapers here talk about like no-go zones, or like even here in Glasgow, there's like areas I wouldn't be waving my iPhone around in, yeah? But like it's got nothing on Brazil where like they need to send in basically tanks to go there because they're going to get sprayed with bullets. But the other kind of gang they have in Rio is called the Militia or Militia. So they're basically corrupted police that formed their own gang. They say they're like vigilantes, but really they're more like the mafia. So like they chase out drug dealers from an area, and they say like, oh, you know, like be nice if you guys. They go around local business saying, be nice if you guys chipped in for security every now and then. And then like a couple of weeks later, it's like, yeah, nice hot dog stand you got there. Be a shame if it spontaneously combusted. Mm-hmm. So one night I'm going home by myself, and I was staying in like a militia area at the time. I was going home in a taxi. We had the windows rolled up so you can't see who's inside. And this geezer just outside my house, this geezer steps out, dressed all in black baseball cap. He's got a pistol. He starts pointing the pistol at my side of the car. And I didn't speak any Portuguese, but he starts saying something in Portuguese. So we roll down the window. I'm just there with my hands up. And I'm like, esto gringo, no fala português, which means like, I'm a gringo, I don't speak Portuguese. And like, when he sees that it's me, because like, there's not many gringos in the area, he just puts his gun away, like, haha, go on then. Mm-hmm. Just lets me on my way. That was probably the sketchiest moment in Brazil.
What's the best place you've ever visited?
One place I really like, just to visit, but not to live there, obviously, but just to visit is Iran, actually, surprisingly.
Is that a war zone, or is it as bad as people make out on the TV, or is it some bit safe?
No, like for tourists, it's great. There's like in the east next to the Pakistan border, there's some terrorists, but they usually leave tourists alone. It's mainly like their fight is with the government. But we have this kind of idea that like they're living under like the strict like Islamic law. Which is true, like their government is fucked. Like you can get arrested for having the wrong haircut. There's like some kids arrested just for making a YouTube video of them dancing. But when you go there, like the people are fine.
Yeah.
It's basically just like the fucking lunatics running the show. Mm-hmm. But like the people are fine. And you know how like a lot of countries, they kind of see like Western tourists as like kind of a cash machine. Like they try to get as many tourist dollars out of you as they can. But it's like the opposite in Iran. In Iran, people give you shit for free just because you're a tourist. So on my first night, we went around asking for alcohol because alcohol is legal there. Alcohol is a drug. That's one of the things I was wondering about, like why are some things legal here and not there, for example. So alcohol is legal there because it's a Muslim country. And we just met this random guy on our first night. And he was like, yeah, come back in an hour. And he was like playing pool or whatever. It's like, we didn't think he was going to come back in an hour, but like we didn't have any other leads. So we came back in an hour. The dude just rolled up on his moped. He just gave us a 6-pack of beer. We tried to pay him something for it, but he was like, no, it's for you. Welcome to Iran. And he just drives off. One interesting thing about Iran, though, is that like the rules wouldn't apply to you and me. So it's just the Muslims who aren't allowed to drink. But they have a lot of Christians there. They have a lot of Jews there. And it's mainly the Christians who are like the booze dealers. Basically like because it's legal for them to have. And it's mostly like the Armenians. So if you want a 6-pack, you should call someone like Kim Kardashian.
Yeah. So when you've done all your travelling, I read in your book as well, MDMA was actually invented by a German, or the Germans,
In
the early 1900s for weight loss.
Yeah. And it was way too intense for weight loss.
Yeah.
But after that, interestingly,
was it some crazy scientist that?
Yeah, from the 1960s, it started being used in America. Before it was banned in the 80s. Before that, it started being used for therapy. Because, like, you know, MDMA, it's like the love drug. It helps people open up and stuff, and it's like impossible to feel bad on it. So for a while, it was actually used by therapists, and now in America, they're kind of going back to that. There's a lot of studies going around. There's one study they did with war veterans. It's like Iraq and Afghan war veterans for their PTSD. And there's like an 83%, something like that, success rate of reducing the symptoms of PTSD with no serious side effects. So I think so they're legalizing weed slowly across America, but I think like ecstasy could come back, at least in like a sort of medical way.
Think so? They say MDMA's got medical benefits for the mind, for the brain.
Yeah.
So as it opens certain pathways and...
In moderation, not like bashing out pills every day.
And take fucking MDMA. Because did you not snort half a gram of MDMA one night?
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Because at the time, I didn't know how much you're supposed to take or how you're supposed to take it. Like, I was that dumb. I was actually selling it, but I didn't know what to do with it. But I figured, like if I'm selling it, I might as well try it once, right? So I was in the Weatherspoons. Just went to the toilet, just poured out the whole like half gram on I think it was like a credit card or not credit card, I was too young, like a bank card. And I just snorted the whole thing, and it's like getting fucking punched in the nose. Like, you're not supposed to do that. That shit destroys your nose. So I was crying for about 15 minutes. And I walked out the toilet, like my eyes are just red, like I've been pepper sprayed at a football match. Like I've been maced. And then like just I go to a bar to order a drink. Just then it kicks in. And that was wild, man. That was like MDMA, it's always the best time is the first times. After that, it always goes downhill. Like you're never gonna have those happy times again. But that was wild. I was basically moonwalking like Neil Armstrong, you know? Mm-hmm. Like everything's like in slow motion. And one of my mate's dads, he owned a nightclub at the time. And there was some kind of private party going on, but he let me in just because he knows me. And I was just wandering around, my eyes wide open like fucking saucers, just chatting shit to these people. They're like, they have no idea who I am.
Telling everyone you love them.
Yeah, exactly. That was a wild night.
You were involved with the Japanese mafia as well, is that correct?
Yeah, I met the Yakuza in Japan.
What was that like?
That's strange because, in Japan, they're not really seen as like the mafia, like sort of like bad people, or they're not seen as bad people by everyone at least. So they have this kind of like They're like semi-legal organizations. They actually have offices, and you can look up their offices on Google Maps. If you know the name of the crime syndicate, put into Google Maps, you get their office, you get their number, like call them up, a secretary picks up the phone, yes, Tokyo Crime Syndicate. So the time I met them was, there's this Japan has very strict laws. There's one law against, like, it's called like gangster intimidation or something like that. So they're not allowed to show their tattoos in public in a lot of places. But on these like Japanese national Shinto is the traditional religion, Shinto festivals, they are allowed to show them because they're like traditional Japanese tattoos. And yeah, they're just wandering around all over the place, and they're happy to like take pictures with tourists, And I just saw a big group of them. Like, I just asked one of them who spoke English, like, "So you guys are Yakuza?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're all Yakuza." And it, like, you wouldn't see like gangsters like that out here. Like, everyone here, like, everyone be like minding their own business, but they're pretty open about it.
Why?
I think they're kind of seen as like a sort of the remnants of like the samurai.
Mm-hmm.
So like they're seen as like, because Japan's like, it's a very modern society. They got like robots, they got all sorts of shit, but it's also like a very traditional society still. So they still look back on like the sort of samurai era where everything was like more honorable or whatever. And they kind of see the Yakuza as like a new samurai in some circles.
Mm-hmm. Just, yeah.
But I think slowly like the attitudes towards them are getting more negative.
Yeah?
Gradually, yeah.
Were you still, when you were doing all this travelling, were you still taking drugs, MDMA, or just weed or coke? What were you doing? Were you partying hard?
Just all in the name of science.
Yeah, just testing it for yourself, for your book?
Like the craziest one I had was something called ayahuasca.
Yeah, I've did ayahuasca. Did it in Costa Rica last year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What'd you see?
Fucking hell. I seen hell, brother.
Right.
I was in hell. Fire, pain, misery. It was dark. It ain't an easy ride. Because I'm drug free, so
it's not a party drug.
For me, it was, you're skeptical, but for me, I'm a control freak, so I was trying to control it. The shamans kept saying surrender.
Yeah, that's hard.
And I was trying to. They says if you
when
see
you're
pain,
losing your mind,
yeah, they see pain, go towards it, and that's shit scary. You're in the jungle with 60 different people.
Yeah,
yeah, it was weird. I was going in a good place. But for me, I'm always searching as well. And there's the devil there that says, oh, there's something there that I can take. They say it's a plant medicine. Was that an excuse for me to go and get fucked up? Or was I really going to try and heal? But I feel good now. I'm in a good place. The people who took it are still in a good place. Yeah.
Do you think you got anything out of it at the end? Like,
I don't know. I lost my memory for a couple of weeks coming back, which was scary. But they says that was like spirits cutting out all the pain, not just from this life, but previous lives.
Yeah.
It was fucked up, man. It was dark, and I seen a lot of pain, so much death. I've lost a lot of family members and friends to like murder and suicide, so I've seen a lot of dark shit. And they says, because they told me to go and take a third cup, so I took it. And they say, how do you feel? I just says, I feel I'm in pain. They say, right, good, it's working. Yeah,
they got that purge as well that makes you throw up.
I never threw up. They gave me a list like 3 weeks beforehand, like no masturbation, no alcohol, no drugs, no sugar, no meat. I was already vegetarian. I was already drug free. Obviously, the masturbating was a tough one, but I stuck to everything. I done it because they says if you go on there cleaner, it's quicker for the ayahuasca to work on other things, because if you've got the toxins in your body, it'll work on that first, which could take a couple of days. So I went there, bang on it. I wasn't sick the very last day, and that was a 12-hour ceremony. That was hardcore.
Yeah,
fucking painful. The documentary's out this year.
Oh, you filmed it as well, you madman.
Yeah. Where did you do it?
I was in Peru.
But do you not think that the kind of people, a lot of weed smokers there, do you tend to think it's like, because a lot of people
supposed to smoke weed with it as well.
Yeah, no. But there's a lot of people who smoke DMT now, which ayahuasca has DMT in it. So a lot of people are going from weed because they're wanting that extra hit, they're wanting that extra something. And it's scary
Yeah.
because a lot of weed smokers also go into heroin.
Yeah.
So what was your experience like?
Man, it was. So I did it. I did it 4 times over the course of a week. But the first time, that was the most insane one. That's when like I just lost all my sort of sense of time and space. So there was like one point where I needed to cool off, and like I was wearing my swimming trunks just because I'm paranoid, like I'm gonna have like a little accident while this is all happening. So I
Shit yourself.
something like that, yeah.
That's when you know you've got a good batch, though.
I was wearing my trunks and I need to cool off, and there was this girl who was like completely sober. She's just there to like watch over us, make sure we didn't do anything stupid. And so she took me to the shower, and like I turned on the shower and just this rainbow comes out, and I start just kind of bouncing off the walls. But that wasn't as weird as like what was going on in my head. So like I asked her, it's like, how long have I been in the shower for? And she says about 5 minutes. But it just felt like I've lived my whole life in the shower. You know, it felt like, you know, like the end of The Shining, where you see like Jack Nicholson's face on that photo, yeah, and it just zooms out that he's always been at the hotel. It's like I've always been in the shower, and oh man, that was something else. The second time, I'm not gonna lie, I was too scared the first time, so I didn't drink enough. So I didn't get any effect of it. So
I took 3 cups the first time.
Oh, the first time? I only took the one.
Yeah, I took one.
You're a madman.
I never felt fuck all with the one. But there was people who took half a cup who were screaming.
Oh, really?
So I took one, and I was like, I thought to myself, this is a lot of shite. This ain't working. I took a second cup, then boom, game time. That was fucking scary. They had to they lifted my mattress outside. They had to take me outside. They all came and lifted it and put me outside. So they did. I fucking hot a badging. I took a loopy one. I couldn't stop laughing as well. But it's a lot of screams, people screaming, people shitting themselves. I don't know, man. As a placebo effect comes into play, where people believe before they're going to go that it's going to help them, it's going to change their mindset, so be it. And people do change on it. For me, and I says this to the guy, Jerry Powell, who runs it, I don't know. I still don't know. I don't have all the answers. I believe you can get to certain states from meditation as well. So you can, and you'll tend to see, what is it we're searching for, Niko? Why did you do it? Why did I do it? What is it we're searching for? Are we just curious of what it's like because we've tried every other drug? Are we really going to get answers? Do you know what I mean? What was yours? Why did you do it?
I just read a lot about it, and it just felt like, because I was doing I was backpacking around South America a bit, so I went Brazil, Colombia, and Peru. And I just wanted to immerse at that time I wasn't writing the book at all. This is like way before the book, but after jail. So I just wanted to kind of immerse myself in the local culture a bit. But I think it really did help me think kind of outside the book on the last night, especially. Not so much the first night where it was just fucking crazy shit bouncing around the shower. But the last night that I took it, that's when like things started to click for me more. Like I kind of saw my place in the universe a little bit differently, and I saw how like people might have been reacting to like some things I did, because like after prison I had like some mental problems, just from the shock of being in prison and how much it disrupted my life, and also just like weird ideas that developed while I was in prison, and it really did help me like think about it in a whole new way. So in that sense I think it was good. But yeah, like you said, it's not like something you take at a party, you know. It's fucking intense. It's an experience.
Yeah, it's an experience. I'm glad I did that. Yeah, I still don't know. People always ask me all the time, should I do it? I always tell them, listen, if it's your calling, then try it. But I wouldn't be where I am today if I never did all the other shit in the past. So yeah, I'm always. There might be something else in 10 years, but they say there's 500,000 plants or over 1 million plants, that for these 2 plants to be mixed together and get this tea, but apparently reconnects you with your soul, makes you face all your fears. This is a 5-star resort I was at, so it was clean, it was beautiful, but once you get into this tempo, yeah, it's game time, you ain't allowed to leave, and you've got shamans, you've got people with throwing smoke and people screaming. it was like fucking hell. I thought I was in hell. It was just flames. It's crazy. And I was seeing like snakes. And they kept telling me to surrender. So I took 3 cups the first night and I was gone, man. And I woke up the next day and I felt, fuck this, I'm getting a flight home. But after a couple of hours, I was ready to go again.
Yeah.
Were you in the jungle?
Yeah, I was in the jungle.
Yeah.
Jungle for a week. I remember like the third night that we did it, there was a storm brewing. And like you could hear like thunder and stuff in the background. I was thinking, oh shit, this is gonna be a fun night. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't that bad in the end. Maybe just because like we kind of knew like we had a better idea what was gonna happen, but it was fine.
So do you think you got the answers that you wanted?
I got some answers, but I'm not sure they're the ones to my questions. But
would you do it again?
Yeah, I'd do it again. Bit expensive to fly out to South America every time, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not cheap. There's places I know there's places in like Amsterdam, but I don't think there is professional.
Like,
I think
you want to be there with like the people who like the shamans who've like done this like their whole lives. Yeah. You want to be in safe hands when you're going through hell.
You do feel safe with them. I believe those guys, they can see spirits, they can see energies. When I was taking the ayahuasca, I was seeing it, people's energy. It sounds crazy. I've seen it. I've seen it coming out of people. I've seen it with the way they're walking. It's a painful experience. Fucking ain't here to go, oh yeah, take it, and then you come back. You really dig deep. Man, and it's... Would I do it again? Probably. But again, is that my addiction's kicking in? Where the reason you can't do it all the time is because it is so fucking expensive. So you need to be careful that are we doing it just to get an extra kick?
Shamans do like 4 times a week though.
Yeah. Are they happy though?
I remember one of them, he had just like, he only had one good eye and the other eye was just like grey and pointed somewhere that way. So like, that's how he sees the spirit world, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like, you can look into life all differently. Everybody can see things differently. And if it's something for you, then go and try it. It's an experience. But for me, it's to just keep chipping away. So you talk about your mindset. What happened? Was it more shock? Just a bit of depression, fear, anxiety? What,
after the ayahuasca?
No, just beforehand when you said you had a bit of mental health issues.
Oh, yeah. I think that's actually getting worse, or it was getting worse when I was there. Because obviously when you have a problem like out here in the real world, you can just like go for a walk, call your mates, and go for a beer or whatever, go to the park, go fishing with your dad, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But... In prison, you're just stuck in a room and you just
claustrophobic.
Not so much claustrophobic. Well, maybe a little bit, yeah. But just like you're just locked in one place. You can't move. You only have your own thoughts for company, and it's very hard to kind of get out. So like you have certain thoughts that just keep going round and round your head. So like, my 2 thoughts were that I was like a fucking massive loser of fuck ups, like the complete opposite of what I became a drug dealer for, like not popular, not successful right now. I'm dead to everyone on the outside. That was my one thought. My second thought was I had a crush on this one girl outside, and like just before I went to prison, she broke up with her boyfriend. So like that thought kept going round and round my head until it got to the point where like, and this is one thing I realized after ayahuasca, that like she stopped being like a real human being. She started being this kind of abstract symbol that I'm projecting a lot of my ideas on. Mm-hmm. And obviously when you get obsessed with something or someone like that, that's not a good place.
Yeah, definitely. It can fuck with your mind because you're focusing your energy onto someone else.
That's why like when Johnny Steele was telling me about the being in isolation for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, one of Scotland's most punished prisoners. Yeah. Great guy, Johnny. We're doing a documentary on Johnny. He's a great guy. Yeah, great stories.
But I would go mad after just like a week in isolation.
But that's what it's there for, to break you. To break you. But again, drug dealing, that's what comes with the package. Prison, death, attempt murders, mindset's gone. I know plenty of drug dealers out there whose mind is fucked. Because subconsciously, consciously as well, it eats away at your soul because you know what you're doing is wrong. no matter what, as you're selling MDMA, heroin, coke, you are destroying others' lives. You've got to think of their mums who are worrying for their kids, or even the mums and dads who are on drugs, even people who do it at the weekends, take a bit of coke and they think it's great. I'm telling you, 2-3 years down the line, your mindset is fucked. I believe we've all got mental health issues, but alcohol, coke, drugs, any signed up drug will push you over the edge eventually. And that's why I believe suicide's on the rise, is because eventually that shit, what goes up must come down, and you keep taking that shit. I read there was a study there, when you take cocaine, your dopamine levels don't go back to normal 6 months later. 6 months later, so your mind's still fucked. And people stay off it for 2-3 weeks and say, oh, I feel good, I'm ready to go again. But eventually that shit eats at your mind, fucks your nose, your heart, your kidneys, your liver, and eventually takes away your pain. It might mask the pain that you're in, but eventually it will win, and that's the scary thing. So including yourself, you need to be careful with alcohol, weed, all the other shits, because if you've struggled with mental health before, that shit will creep back up with you. So you need to think, listen, ayahuasca's a tea, I get it, but it's all the other stuff that come with it. Why do we overdrink? Why do we take drugs? I believe, and I always say it, we're escaping the reality. We don't like it here. We can't handle it. So what do? We hide. We hide behind gambling, abuse, fucking anger, frustration. A wee bit of selling drugs because it gives a wee bit of power, but it's an illusion. It's like fame. Don't mean shit. Do you know what I mean? Everything's within. I believe you can get to these heights in these states, not just by taking things externally. I believe internally, which is a great thing to be at, but it's just try to get some bliss, which is difficult unless we're sitting on top of mountains every day. We're in the rat race, brother. Do you know what I mean?
You know, like I walked into your office there. I see like the Buddha. I'm getting a good vibe here. You know, like a good feng shui. As
good energy, brother.
Yeah.
You'll be a new man as soon as you walk out this door. As soon as you get that line of Charlie in you.
So I used to one of the stuff I used to sell was coke, but I think like now I've read about it, I think like cocaine, like in terms of what it does to your body, it's like one of the worst drugs.
Of course it is.
I think it's actually worse than heroin, because technically heroin, if you got like, because you can get heroin on prescription. If you got heroin on prescription, like you might get constipated or something, but you probably won't overdose. You won't get any nasty shit mixed in. Like your main problem is your addiction, yeah? But like cocaine, you can get addicted to it, but cocaine in any form, pure, not pure, it slowly destroys your body. Like every line pushes you closer to a heart attack.
Of course, man. Every drug, I would never touch heroin because I was always too proud. I used to look at that as a dirty drug, but every addiction's the same. It's all the fucking same. If you're addicted to something that's taking you away from a conscious frame of mind, it's not good. You try and do things naturally, the beauty of life, and I'm clean and sober now, but my demons and problems are still there. I'm still battling every day. I just handle them better. I handle them more correctly. I don't look at a problem and find another 100 problems. I get a problem and find a solution. And as much as I can talk all this shit, it's proven that I'm doing it. Actions speak louder than words, and I'm doing it. Something's clicked. Do you know what I mean? So people will listen and go, he's talking a lot of shit, but I've been there. I've been in the dark. I've been in the trenches. Do you know what I mean?
They've done a study this in Iceland, actually. So in my opinion, like the war on drugs is wrong. It's wrong to lock people up for using drugs. But what they did in Iceland is, so like they invested in like the late 90s, like early 2000s, they invested a lot more in like after school programs, like more sports activities for the kids. And like you see it fall a lot. Like when someone like sports, for example, it's a great way, like investing more money in sports is a great way to get kids off drugs. So they have something to do. They've got a reason to stay fit and healthy. And like, I think they did it with drinking, smoking cigarettes and smoking weed. I think it fell like by some crazy amount, from like 25% of all Icelandic teenagers getting mashed every month to like 5%. So it's like a crazy, just from investing in the right areas. So I think they should take the money out, stop locking people up in prisons for like minor bullshit, start putting that into reasons why people are so depressed, why they have these psychological addictions, why like give them something better to do, something to aspire to, you know?
Yeah, you need to be driven, you need goals, you need something to get up in the morning. If you ain't got any passion to get up, you're just going to fail. because life's struggling. I've got passion now, I've got goals, but it's still a struggle to get up. So you ain't got that shit. You're going to struggle even worse. So what do? Is you surround yourself with the losers who are constantly gambling or drinking or taking drugs. And I'm not trying to be mean, but the reason I call them losers because I was one for 15 years. No hope, no vision, no belief. And then remember, the more bad shit you do, the more it becomes harder to unravel it all again and get rid of it. It takes years and years to change, and it can be done though. That is the beauty of life. When you were in prison, Niko, tell me this. He says you were popular, always invited to parties, you had everyone around you. When you were in prison, how many visitors came?
Not enough.
Exactly.
Not enough.
Exactly. That comes with the territory as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No cunt cares, mate.
I mean, the worst thing about it is, I obviously some people did come. Now, like, you know, you start to see who like your real friends are, yeah. But there's a lot of times, and this the worst thing is like when you booked a visit with someone, or you set up a visit, and like you can set up with like up to three. In my prison, it was up to 3 different people you can have on your visit.
So 3 visits a month?
No, like so you can have 1 visit with 3 visitors.
Yeah. How many visits per month were you allowed?
Oh, I don't
3?
remember, but I remember that they carried over. So if you didn't use your visits for 1 month, you could like.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah. But there'd be some times where just there, and like no one would come, and you're just in the visiting room by yourself. You're looking around. Everyone else is talking like with their families, with their friends or families. Sometimes they got their little kids running around and stuff as well, and you're just sitting there on your own. And like for a while, you wait it out. Like you see, like okay, maybe they're late, maybe because you don't know what's happening out. And sometimes they are late. Sometimes they do show up like 15, 20 minutes, like just traffic, whatever. So like they can't call you, they can't text you, you know what's happening. Yeah. But then like sometimes they didn't show up. Then you just sat there, and you go back and you think like, why don't they show up? And you go back to your cell, and then that plays on your mind as well. Like you think again, you can't like just text and say like, where you at? Like it just plays into your sort of paranoia.
Yeah, your insecurities.
Yeah. And actually like they lock people up for drugs, but they still have drugs in prison. And
you get more drugs in prison than you do fucking outside.
Yeah, and obviously like the people in prison already, they're like a lot more vulnerable because like everyone or every like I'm gonna say like 3/4 of people in prison have some kind of mental health issue. So I think mental health issue, that's what drives addiction really. Mental health issues. Of
course, remember if you've got a wife or a girlfriend, you're thinking she getting fucked or of course. Do you know what I mean? Is she going to wait 5 years?
Exactly.
Realistically, is she fuck? Do you know what I mean? She's got needs as well.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. Where these strong men think it's cool walking about with the big Rolexes and the big fancy cars, selling drugs. But as soon as they're in prison, you find out who the strong people are because you ain't strong if you go and dabble on drugs because you can't handle the pain. You can't handle your way of thinking in there. So what do? You hide behind the mask. It's only a very, very small percentage of people in prison that don't turn to drugs. They go through their prison, they maybe learn, they maybe educate themselves, and they come out a new person. Maybe 1 or 2%, if that do that. The rest can't handle their sentence. They can't handle being away from their loved ones, but they put themselves in there. And this is where, in life, man, it's to try and do good. I believe if you do good, you will attract good. And I will always say that.
Yeah, that's what I tried to do with my book. I tried to take my kind of negative experiences. I tried to make that into something positive. Because, you got to work with what you've got, right?
Exactly, brother. So, plans for the future, Niko? Tell me, brother, what do you see yourself doing? Staying out of trouble?
Yeah. So I got, I'm working on another book called How to Break Out of Prison. It's got different prison break stories from across the world. So, talked about Johnny Boy. Yeah, we got him. Talking to this guy, Redwan Faid. He escaped from French prison twice. First time he had he blew his way out with explosives. Second time he got a helicopter to get him out. Fucking I've met El Chapo's family already, and obviously El Chapo had that epic jailbreak with his mile-long tunnel.
Many, is it not? Many jailbreaks, El Chapo, yeah.
Yeah, one he hid in a laundry basket. The second one, he had like a massive tunnel, a mile-long tunnel dug from his cell to like just some shed.
To a house, yeah.
And it was nuts. They had they had ventilation, they had lights, and they even had like a little motorbike for him to ride.
That's nuts, isn't it?
So that's my new project, man.
Good, brother. So, before we finish up, why have you got so many good contacts all around the world? Can you discuss that?
Well, obviously, like some of them are people I knew back in the day that agreed to talk to me. But others, like it's surprising what you can find out just from, also from my time at RT, my time in the media. But it's all surprising what you can find out just from asking around. But the one thing I will say is, like, before I go to every country, I always make sure that I know somebody there who can guide me around, because I can't just like go around some dive bars in Mexico asking like big burly guys in muchachos, excuse me, which of you gentlemen does this poppy field belong to?
Yeah. Oh, before we finish up, we never touched on the killing in Manila.
Yes, that was one of the death squads.
Did you see the body?
We didn't see the body. The body was carried away just before we got there. But we were eating at a restaurant, and my guy, one of the local guys who's showing me around, he's just checking his Twitter, and he says, "Oh shit, there's been another killing just across the street," and it's like it was the same MO as like all the vigilante killings. So it's like two guys on a motorbike, black masks, drive up, shot him twice in the head, and yeah, I just dropped all our plates. We like left one of my mates there just to like, he paid for, because like we can't run off without paying the bill. So he took care of the bill. We ran down the street, and that's the first time I saw someone's brains where they're not supposed to be. There's just big crowd gathered, a massive pool of blood, a few like little sticky, more solid little bits floating around, which were quite nasty. And I remember one thing that really struck me was so one man, he got down, he lit a candle, and he just left it there for the dead, just in their memory. We didn't know if that was like directly connected to the drug war, but it's the same kind of killing as like the 30,000 drug war killings. But maybe it's like they just use the same hitmen for different jobs. It's like they pay the same guys to the drug killing and then just do other killings, but we don't know what it was about.
At least you're safe now, brother. In Glasgow, not. I mean, I wouldn't say too safe though. Where can people buy your book, Niko? Dopeworld.
It'll be on Amazon, WH Smith's. I think Waterstone should have a few.
We'll put the links in the description. Niko, it's been an absolute pleasure,
brother.
It's been
a pleasure, bro.
God bless you.
Thanks for having
Stay
me on,
strong.
bro.
Stay all clean. No more killings.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Cheers.